dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 6 o'clock. I'm Will Puckett.
And I'm Cassidy Strickland. Thank you so much for waking up with us. Hope you had a good start to your week. I know a lot of people had the day off, and today, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, some kids are going to have today off as well, or at least a delay.
Yeah, a 4-day weekender. I always prefer to delay. You could always sleep in a little bit and then go to school. But for those of you who have to wake up and go to school or wake up and go to work, we appreciate you waking up with us this morning. Not as cold as it was yesterday, but still pretty cold. But throughout the day today, you might just need a light jacket, right, Brandon?
Well, this morning heavy, and then maybe you can shed those layers as you get deeper in the day. Let's put it that way. You know, when I was a kid, I always didn't like the delays because we'd always get up and then we'd have to try to go back to sleep because the schools would do the delays.
Y'all know I don't wake up very easily to begin with, so my parents would always have to wake me up for school. So they just like, all right, well, go ahead and stay sleeping, buddy.
That's right. All right, let's get into it this morning. Talk about the weather instead of talking about school this morning. A lot of kids are going back today after the holiday. Let's go to the WYMT studio camera this morning, and you can see outside of our studios here in Hazard, pretty quiet start to the day. No fog. We've not had fog in a few days. We had everything else in the world, though. Over at Whitesburg this morning, everything looking pretty quiet there as well. Temperatures actually warmer. Wise just went up to 30. It's a heat wave over in Southwest Virginia. We are looking at temperatures, though, in the teens and 20s for most of us this morning. We factor in the wind chill. Still feels like single digits up toward Moorhead and Lexington. So, again, getting warmer, but slowly. Clouds moving away, which is going to help drop us down just a couple more degrees as we get toward the morning hours. And you see live pinpoint Doppler radar nice and quiet as we head out the door this morning. But, again, a max warming needed on the coffee meter. Get that hot cup of coffee, tea, whatever you like, hot chocolate this morning, and you're going to need it to get you out the door. Speaking of which, the forecast for that looks pretty good as we head deeper into the afternoon hours. Sunshine after that cold start, maybe close to 50 for daytime highs today. I have the rest of the forecast coming up here in just a few minutes.
Some people might be breaking out the tank tops and flip-flops today, Brandon. Thank you. Well, at least 7 people were killed as a result of a major winter storm that swept across the country, leaving behind bitterly cold temperatures. Across parts of the Midwest and East, bitterly cold temperatures are feeling much worse thanks to high winds. The conditions more than 20 degrees below normal across the Northeast are causing car batteries to die.
Majority of our calls today are all battery calls. They go anywhere from jump starting a battery to changing them out completely.
Probably the coldest temperature was measured by the Mount Washington Observatory in New Hampshire. It was a whopping 31 degrees below zero yesterday afternoon, which felt like 80 below when factoring in the high winds. Now, one of the deaths that we mentioned was of a 12-year-old girl who died in Illinois.
Officials say it happened when a snowbank collapsed. According to the Arlington Heights Police Department, the child was playing with a 9-year-old friend inside of the snowbank outside of a church on Sunday. Investigators report the 2 children built a fort and it collapsed on top of them. Both girls were taken to the hospital where the 12-year-old was pronounced dead. The 9-year-old was treated for hypothermia. Back here in Kentucky, a woman was found lying dead outside of her home.
Again, it was below freezing when officers found her body, and as WYMT's Phil Pendleton reports, now investigators are trying to figure out if the weather played a role in her death.
A driver headed up Fisherman Island Road noticed a woman laying on the cold ground just outside her home just around 11:30 on Sunday morning.
When we responded to the scene, we found a woman beside her vehicle, deceased.
They identified her as 72-year-old Glenda Smith, who lived in the home alone. She had a cut to her head, but they don't think that injury alone caused her death.
It's thought that she may have taken a fall. We're not sure at this point.
Did she fall? And then did the extremely cold temperatures cause something else to happen to her?
You know, this investigation just started yesterday, and it is an unusual investigation, you know, with a cut on her head and the weather, and there's a lot of things that we have to consider.
This part of Laurel County is known for its lakeside homes. It is a community where a lot of people reside in the spring and summer months, but not too many people stay here during the winter.
Neighbors say Smith lived alone, but they would try to check on her from time to time.
It's very rural, of course, and the houses, there are some houses in that area, but they're not right next door to each other. There's one here and then there's one there, so you don't have no really close neighbors.
Police say they don't know how long the woman was outside before she was discovered. In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The autopsy was scheduled for yesterday, but officials have not yet released the results. Well, the cold weather caused problems for firefighters battling a house fire in Bull County. It happened at a home on White Oak Road in Junction City. Firefighters had to shuttle water in from about a mile away. They also had to deal with temperatures that were well below freezing there. There is heavy damage to the home, but thankfully no one was injured. There is no word on what caused the blaze.
Well, many heating and plumbing businesses are getting hundreds of calls every day because of the cold temperatures. Some say the easiest thing homeowners can do is to make sure their heat runs smoothly and efficiently during the frigid conditions is simply by changing out their air filter to keep them clean. Officials say it is also important to know how to keep your pipes from freezing or bursting during these cold temps. You should also make sure your crawl space is sealed up well to keep the cold out. And officials say if you are concerned about your pipes, you can also open the doors under your sinks and let your water drip.
With temps below freezing, firefighters are reminding you to be safe if you are using a space heater to stay warm. Officials say if you are using a space heater, don't leave it unattended. It is also important to plug it in directly to the wall. Officials say people are tempted to put wet gloves or wet socks over space heaters, which should never be done. It is important to maintain a 3-foot radius around anything that could catch fire, keeping flammables away from it. Finally, if you're using a fireplace to heat your home, make sure to get it looked at once a year.
Well, for those without a roof over their head, frigid temperatures means that they have to brave the elements. One homeless shelter in Clay County had volunteers come in and work hours that the shelter would normally be closed so that people had a place to stay during the day as temperatures dropped below freezing.
I feel like it's a calling to do what's good and what's right to help those who need help in any way we can help them.
Now we have information on how to volunteer or if you need to utilize the shelter on our website, WYMT.com. Now the cold weather is not just impacting people. Officials say it also impacts animals.
Yeah, Cassidy, some of the animals at the Binghamton Zoo had the option to be indoors or outdoors. The zoo's American red wolves, eagles, Arctic fox, and snow owl all had some fun in the snow. Most of the cats, like their snow leopard, don't mind the cold too much, but the zoo likes to monitor their time outside when the temps drop. All of the buildings have thermometers and the exhibits are kept at the appropriate temperatures for all the animals.
Well, switching gears now, police are still looking for the man accused of shooting and killing Gary Medlin while trying to rob a Knox County store last Wednesday. This is video just before police say Philip Lee Lewis III fired that fatal shot. Police think he had a getaway driver. Now, he has ties to Mississippi and Michigan. Anyone with information on where he might be is asked to call police.
Meanwhile, police in Laurel County say someone is shooting a BB gun at homes and cars, and deputies want to find out who's behind it. Homes and cars on streets in the London, Corbin, and Keavy areas have been hit recently. We talked to deputies about the string of vandalisms and what the person or persons is using to cause all this damage.
Where someone is apparently driving around in their vehicle and they're using both a BB gun and a paintball gun, and they're actually shooting at houses and shooting at cars.
Deputies do not know who they are looking for. That is why they need your help finding them. They're asking people living in Laurel County to keep an eye out for the vandals.
A convicted sex offender is expected in a Boyle County courtroom after police say he made several threatening phone calls. 31-year-old Jermaine Buster is charged with several counts of terroristic threatening. Police say Buster made calls to Little Lighthouse Daycare, Bate Middle School, and First Care Clinic late last week. They say he called from a blocked number and made sexual threats toward the children and employees. Buster was convicted of first-degree sexual abuse in Jefferson County back in 2010.
Deputies in Clay County say they caught the man accused of stealing from a gas station. This is David Smith. He faces burglary and fleeing or evading police charges, among others. Police say the burglary happened at a marathon in the Garrard community. Deputies say Smith tried to run when they arrested him.
And we have an update on 2 boys in Knott County who ran off from school last week. Many of you called or messaged us very concerned about the boys. We do now know that the police found them in Clay County. Investigators say the boys only spent about an hour in the woods before someone picked them up. Deputies in Knott County tell us charges are pending, but could not tell us who would face those charges.
Meanwhile, nearly 1 month after the death of beloved Lynn Camp basketball coach Richard Jones, Knox County public school officials are working to make sure his legacy lives on. The school district is putting together a memoir in honor of the longtime coach. They are asking for photos through the years and special memories of Coach Jones. You can submit photos online or take them to the Knox County Board of Education.
Kentucky State Police have issued an Amber Alert this morning for a 10-year-old boy. Police say Isaiah Boren was allowed to leave with Isaac Chamberlain and has not yet been returned. Police say Isaiah has autism and needs medicine that he is currently not getting. He is missing out of Western Kentucky, but the Amber Alert is statewide. Still to come this morning, Google faces a hefty fine for violating new privacy laws in Europe.
And at 6:11 later in sports, we take a look at our updated Alice Lloyd College Mountain Top 10 and U-Pike Top Play nominees.
We get a break in the action today as sunshine returns and temperatures climb. It will be short-lived, though. I'll tell you what's heading our way in about 2.5 minutes.